Hi, welcome back to the channel. Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my 2025-2026 homeschool curriculum picks for my 7th grade daughter. This will be our 5th year homeschooling. Like I said, she's in 7th grade this year, and I have a lot to show you. We're going to cover a lot this year. I'm really excited about it, so I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what I have on hand. There are some things that are going to be online components this year, so I'll show you that on my computer, and some things I've ordered that just haven't come in yet. So let's get to it. So first up will be math, and no surprise here, we are continuing with dimensions. She'll be doing 6A and 6B this year. I'm interested to see how this goes because dimensions does change the formatting in 6th grade. And I will be the primary teacher for this. We're not using the online lessons or videos at this point. I am still the primary teacher for math. So that is our plan for math. Next, some units she'll be doing. She always does a health unit, and this coming school year we're going to be looking at relationships, both friendships, personal relationships. So we're going to be talking about that, sexuality. So the first thing I have here is Positive Sexuality, a kid's inclusive guide to being body aware. Again, this is kind of like journal entry type. I think it has really good material in it. I've read it already. So with these types of books, I assign pages, she reads it, we have discussions, but it's something I've already read. The other two things, I'm still waiting for them to come in. I'll have to show you on the computer. So the first one will be Colors of You, lesson plans for teachers and parents about sex education and identity. I think this looked really good. And again, I'm just waiting for it to come in. I've already ordered it off Thrift Books, but this kind of gives you an idea of what's covered in there. So there's that one, and then the second one is Healthy Relationships and Ethical Sex Education, Guide for Secondary Schools. So this gives you kind of an idea of what's covered in here, and some of the things we've obviously covered, you know, human body, puberty, things like that, but we're taking it a step farther. My goal for health is to take it a step farther every year. So this year we're talking about sexual identity, relationships. We'll continue more into romantic relationships in 8th grade as well, but it's just an ongoing conversation. I do have other resources listed if she gets through these, that if you'd like to see those, I will definitely make a video if you want to know all the resources I plan on using. But for now, it's going to be the Positive Sexuality book, go into Colors of You, and then it's going to go into Healthy Relationships. If we get through all those, I will continue on that list of resources I have. But that's my plan as of now for health. So something else she'll be working on is this Write on Course 2020 skills book. So she has struggled with just mechanics of writing in the past, and that's why this is grade 6. This is not introducing new concepts. This is just reviewing and practicing already learned concepts. So I did get the skills book and the teacher edition just for her to have that daily practice. So she'll switch off between doing Sadler vocab and doing skills. So one day she'll do that, or if she wants to do one all week and then the other, she has leeway in that, but this will be things that she will be practicing just to hone in on some of those skills. And like I said, she'll be doing Sadler vocab grade 7 this year. Again, it was back ordered when I ordered it. It's currently on its way. But she has used Sadler vocab the last few years. It's gone really well. So we will continue using this. A lot of the stuff we're doing is just, you know, the next level, which is great to build upon what we already have. So next we'll get into language arts. We are continuing using Lightning Literature. This is Storm. It is aimed at 7th grade. I was lucky and I found this used on eBay, but it wasn't actually used. The person just decided not to use it, so I got it used, which saved me a bunch of money. But again, we've done Lightning Literature since she's come home in 3rd grade, so she's pretty familiar with this. This is a newer version of Lightning Literature. They revamped it a couple years ago. So I'm excited to see how this goes, and these are the books. So you do have to have the reader. This is the poetry reader that goes with it. In the past, you usually just got a poetry book. This is the specific reader needed for it, and that came with the, when I bought it off eBay. The other books that go with it that I just bought off Thrift Books, Prairie Lotus, The Hobbit. I'm interested to see what she thinks about this because she is not a fantasy reader at all, not really her genre. I thought maybe if I got the illustrated copy, it'd be a little bit more interesting to her because I know there's a lot of world building in this. So we'll see how she likes that. I told her I would read this with her though, because I've never, so she'll read a copy and I'll read a copy from the library, because I've never actually read The Hobbit, and I feel like that's one of those books you should read. Alice in Wonderland. Again, she's read this, I think, in the past, during the pandemic years, because we have a version of this in our library, our home library. So she's familiar with the story. So I got the illustrated version again to pique the interest, because I think she's read it already. Elijah of Buxton. A Day of Pleasures, Stories of Boy Growing Up in Warsaw, and All Creatures, Great and Small. So I'm excited for that. Lighting literature has always gone well for her. It's always been exactly what she's needed, so we will continue with that. So for writing this year, we're going a different path. We've done IDW the past couple of years. Again, she's done really well with it. She's absorbed the information. Last year, she did the unit meant for 7th grade, so I was looking for different options for this year. And when I was watching the C Homeschool Conference online, one of the talks given was by Adela Learning. And I was really intrigued, looked into it, and it looked like a really good fit for her. So they have online classes, they have book clubs, they have live classes, and self-guided classes. This is not a child that enjoys live computer classes. I don't know if that's because, she public schooled during the pandemic and she's just had really negative experience with it. She does not prefer that mode of education for herself and learning, but they do have self-paced classes. So what she will be doing this year is the middle school writing foundations 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see they're 8 weeks. They're extremely reasonably priced, and they're on a sliding scale. So if you can't afford that $20, you can offer lower and pay less, which I think is really cool in the homeschooling world. That one, I think this is reasonably priced for what you're already getting. 2, if you can't afford that, they're willing to work with you, which I think is really awesome. So this is what she'll be doing, and I like that she's having a more online component of this. Part of middle school and high school and college is a big online component. So we can't always have just, paper and pen. Kids need to be able to, navigate portals and Google Classrooms, all these different things that they will be using, whether or not my child decides to go into public high school. When she decides to go to college, she's going to need to have these computing skills with her education. So you'll see this year, definitely, we are going into some more online platforms. So note-taking and summary. And again, these are probably things that she's maybe touched on in IEW, but I think it's good to come at things from different avenues, different perspectives, so they get a more well-rounded. So narratives, informative writing, introduction to research. So that is my plan for her for writing this year. So in the language arts area as well, we will continue with Michael Clay Thompson. We will finish up the Paragraph Town. I have the next level after that. She will continue into that. So again, it's just with Michael Clay Thompson finishing what we have going into the next level. She will continue using Phonetic Zoo. Again, I've talked about how I've tweaked this to fit her needs better, but it's been working really well for spelling. So something that's going to be a little different this year is science and history. In the past, we've done science and history as a group subject with my 8-year-old daughter, my middle child. Because my middle child is 8 and my oldest is 12, the age gap is getting to a point where the material is too advanced for my 8-year-old, and I'm not going to dumb it down for my 12-year-old. My 12-year-old deserves to have challenging middle school age-appropriate curriculum. So I've decided to split them. My 2 youngest will now group together, and my oldest will be doing her own science and history. So for science, we're going to use Conceptual Academy. They do have a homeschool version of it. I did buy the textbook, and I've looked through it. I thought it looked really good. Now, this is a 2-year program, so it would cover 7th and 8th grade, which is my plan for her. I'm hoping this program works really well, and it will transition, if she decides to stay home for homeschooling in high school, it will transition well into high school, because they do have high school level courses as well, with all the lab requirements and all the things you need. So I've looked through this. I think it looks really good. They do have the online version where you can purchase the textbook online, but I just got this off Thrift Books. I just had to wait a while until it finally appeared and I could purchase it. So this is Conceptual Academy. Again, there is a homeschool version website separately. So we're going to be doing the Integrated Science Exploration. It's a 2-year course. Again, I've already bought the textbook, and this goes on sale a couple times a year through C Homeschoolers, and I think a couple times a year if you go through Conceptual Academy. So I bought this already, and it's all ready to go. I do like that there's a Homeschool Planet that goes with this as well, because again, I want to get more into that. She's getting her assignments in her email, and especially using the platform that Conceptual Academy has. She's going to have to navigate, taking quizzes online and being able to navigate looking at the textbook, answering the questions. So it's bringing in that higher level that I think she's going to need in the middle school and high school years, and I think the course looks really good. So hopefully we'll be doing this for the next 2 years, but that is my plan for her for science. Now for history, I have purchased Curiosity Chronicles Modern History, and they currently only have volume 1. I have purchased the physical copy of volume 1, and then I have the digital copies of the instructor guide and the student guide. So she will be working on that. Again, I think, especially since we've used Curiosity Chronicles over the years, this is aimed at her age. This is not something I would use with my 8-year-old. So it's time to split them and give them each individually what they need. Is going to be more work for me, yes, but that's kind of what you pay for an individualized education. It's not convenience, it's what's best for them. So hopefully with schedules and everything, I'll be able to juggle everybody's independent and group and all the subjects they have to do, but I'm excited. I think she'll do really well. I think she's ready to kind of branch off away from her sister, because she's often waiting around for her sister to finish things. And she's a very, give me what I need to do, I'll get it done kid. So I think she's ready for the separation. So I'm excited to get into history with her. That's what she'll be doing. As I said, I bought the physical copies just because I prefer the physical copies with the pictures and everything than having everything online. So next, she will be doing some specialized subjects I want her to focus on. Japanese. We started this summer, and she has really enjoyed it. We were using Japanese from zero. I have the physical book as well as she's using the online platform for this, which I will show you in a minute. But she's liking it. This is her chosen world language. It's obviously not something I can teach, I'm familiar with. She doesn't want to do live classes, so this is where we landed. So this is her kind of dashboard, and she can access different things here. And it has the lessons, it has the videos, everything included. I prefer having the workbook to go along with it to have a physical copy, but so far she's really enjoying this. So other subject areas, little units I want her to work on is Learning How to Learn, a guide for kids and teens. And again, there is an online class that goes with this that we will be doing as well. But if you've seen kind of what I read, books, I have a playlist, I'll link above for you. I've read A Mind for Numbers. I've read a lot of Barbra Oakley books. I really like it. I think this falls in, the category of study skills, learning how to learn, learning how to study, making things easier for you. And it's funny because when I was reading through these, there's a lot of things I naturally incorporated as in high school and college that if I would have learned it earlier, things probably would have been easier. So we're going to do that online course and go through this together, but I think study skills is a really important skill we need to be practicing and honing in on in middle school and high school. Like I said, there's a free online course that goes with it. There's one for adults, there's one for kids. So we will be going through the youth one together to practice those study skills and learning, I guess, her toolbox, how best she can navigate the information, how her body and brain processes information is really important. Last thing we'll be working on is Microsoft Office. Again, I get comments, why not do Google Sheets and all that? I do think both are useful. I think learning how to use Microsoft Office, Excel, spreadsheets, all those things are really important. I know people are going to say publisher isn't important anymore, or there's something in here that I know is no longer being used. I'm aware of that, guys. It's okay. I still think it's really important that she know the basics of Word. I think that's something she'll need in high school and college. I know there's other platforms out there that she will also learn how to use this. So we will be going through this once a week as well. So her chosen activity, extracurricular activity for this year, will be horseback riding. She's done it the last couple of years. She does it once a week for a couple hours. Again, really enjoys it. I think it really helps with self-confidence, and she's, come really far over the last couple of years. So that will be her extracurricular activity. We were hoping to do a co-op this year, but unfortunately the co-op I wanted to do is no longer in existence. They shut down. So that's unfortunate. So I will not be able to do that. But on the upside, one thing she'll be doing this year is confirmation class with our church. When they hit 7th, 8th grade, they go to kind of like a middle school class to learn more about their faith and have discussions. And luckily, we partner with 2 other churches to do that. So it's a pretty large youth group. So I'm hoping she'll get some of that, same age peer interaction through that, because they do meet for a couple hours. They also do service projects together. They go on trips. So they have a lot of different things. And it's one of the few areas that she has just peer on peer. A lot of the homeschoolers we know are younger than us. So that's kind of why I was looking for a co-op option, so she could have more peer interaction with, middle schoolers, 12, 13-year-olds, not necessarily younger kids. Not that that's negative or positive, but obviously she's in a place where, things are changing, that I think having some more peer relationships would be helpful. So I'm hoping confirmation class helps with that, and I hope she really enjoys it. She did do some youth gathering trips this past year, and it went really well. She really enjoyed it, and it was the first time she was the youngest in the group, opposed to normally in our homeschool settings with our friends, she's the oldest in the group. So I'm hoping that kind of fills the peer need that I suspect is there. So I will make another video about group subjects. The only group subjects we will be doing, all 3 of my kids together this year, will be art and social justice. So I'll make a video about that. And then I will also talk about my 8 and 5-year-old, what they will be doing for history and science this year. But you can see I have a lot planned, and it seems like a lot. And I will share my schedule and kind of how I envision all of this happening. But I have no doubt that this child is fully capable of doing these things. I think we need to raise the bar when we're talking about middle school. These kids can do a lot more than necessarily what we're seeing. She's a hard worker. We've spent years building mutual respect for one another. She's really good at time management and controlling her schedule. So I don't doubt that she can't do this. The point I need to make sure I do is that I'm prepared and everything's ready to go, so that she can take what she needs to do and go with it. So again, a lot of it comes down to me and how the homeschool year is going to go. If I'm prepared, she's prepared, we're going to have a great year. So I'm really actually excited to get into some of the things we're going to be covering this year, because I think the older grades have a lot of interesting information and discussion, and you're not just learning to learn. They're learning a lot of things at this point, and they're getting their opinions and just how they see things, and it's really, really exciting. So although it seems like a lot of work, and it might be a lot of work, it's also a really exciting time if you're willing to put in the time and the effort for it. So those are our plans for 7th grade. If you have any specific questions, let me know in the comments down below. If not, thank you for watching.